Order your man to step aside or there will be violence.
I choose violence. Should I fail to persuade the Blackfish to surrender, and if you attack the castle, honor compels me to fight you.
I love Cersei, and if I have to slaughter every Tully who ever lived to get back to her, that's what I'll do.
But this isn't what we agreed to. These aren't White Walkers. This isn't an army of the dead. This isn't our fight.
When this idea of taking Winterfell comes up, I know immediately that this is going to be a hard sell. It's hard to ask your people to go to a war you probably won't win when you just lost like 95% of your total population. And now suddenly we are a part of a much larger political picture.
The Boltons, the Karstarks, the Umbers, they know you're here. They know that more than half of you are women and children. After they finish with me, they'll come for you.
We're aware of Ramsay's numbers and how battle-hardened they are and how prepared they are for war, and we aren't. Our gang is a kind of ragtag group of ne'er-do-wells, certainly not a cohesive force by any means.
The free folk, they are more simple to talk about politics in Westeros with these southern twats. It doesn't help much. It's more like if somebody sacrificed their life for you, then you have something going on.
If it weren't for him, none of us would be here. All of you would be meat in the Night King's army, and I'd be a pile of charred bones just like Mance.
So I have to get down to the deep emotions and point out what Jon has done for us. He almost sacrificed his life for us in Hardhome, and now they killed him because he did that. And if he hadn't, we would all be dead.
In a sense, we kind of already know that we're going to be severely outnumbered. Probably don't have a chance. But the right thing has to be done.
No.
Do I have to beg you? Do it. Do it.
The hound's just left there on his own up in the mountains. There might be a bit of shock because, you know, I thought he was dead. Then I'm sure there'll be a few that are going, I knew it! I knew it! You know, the hound's quite hard to kill.
When I found you, I thought you'd been dead for days.
I was going to give you a proper burial and then you coughed. Nearly shit myself.
I'm like a leader of this sort of group of people who don't believe in violence anymore. So obviously I'm not going to last more than one episode, which...
There's a reason you're still here.
There's a reason I'm a big fucker and I'm tough to kill.
No reason. Gods aren't done with you yet.
My character, it's in there to highlight maybe some kind of change for the Hound.
The hound's just been told so many times that there is a reason you're still alive. And he has been listening and he likes this Ray, but he's still looking for direction, I think.
Oh, there's plenty of pious sons of bitches who think they know the word of God or gods. I don't. I don't even know their real names.
That's the principle of what my character is. There's something greater than any of us, whether it be God. It doesn't matter, just as long as you know that you're not the top of the food chain. And have a little humility now and again.
I reckoned you were going to die by the time I loaded you on the wagon, but you didn't. What kept you going?
Hate. Just that one word, hate. But I don't think the hound, he's full of hate as he was. I think Sandra Clegane is starting off with a little bit of peace, actually. I'm sure that could change like that, though. You know, especially if he hasn't had breakfast or something.
How many men did it take to cut you down?
Just one.
Oh. He must have been some kind of monster.
He was a woman.
I think suffering a near-death experience probably changes anyone, and that certainly has changed Sandor Clegane. He's a more thoughtful person than he was when we last saw him. He's probably more aware of his vulnerabilities. He knows how close he came to dying, and he's really thinking about his past in a way that he never had before.
Never too late to stop robbing people, to stop killing people, start helping people. It's never too late to come back.
You can feel the very subtle effect that Ray and his community are having on the Hound, and he's starting to see that there's perhaps a different way of living your life.
What are you doing here? Well, we're talking about life. You?
Protecting the people.
The unfortunate, ugly reality is that the kind of pacifism that Ray is preaching is often suicidal when you're in the middle of the kind of world that they're all in. Something sad about the fact that this person who tried desperately to walk away from what he was is being given no real choice but to go full throttle back in the direction of what he really is, which is a killer.
This isn't your fight. You shouldn't have to come to Winterfell with me. I shouldn't be asking you. I need you with me if we're gonna beat them, and we need to beat them if you're gonna survive.
Jon is not a wildling. Jon grew up in a castle raised by a noble father, but Jon has a much easier time with the kind of plain talk that the people north of the Wall resonate with.
He died for us. If we are not willing to do the same for him, we deserve to be the last of the free folk.
These wildlings that he's convincing are people whose lives he's saved. They're people who've seen the same things he's seen. They are reticent to follow anyone, especially a non-wildling, but they're all smart enough and practical enough to realize that the old rules that governed their existence for hundreds of years are no longer in effect.
No.
So he does a very good job convincing them, but he has a harder time with Lady Mormont.
I served under your uncle at Castle Black. I was his steward. In fact,
I think we've had enough small talk. Why are you here?
We were excited about the prospect of the character, because she's mentioned in passing in the previous season.
Do you know this wretched girl? Lyanna Mormont.
The Lord Commander's niece.
Lady of Bear Island. And a child of 10.
The more we thought about it, Jon is going to come up against so many old guys with beards in the north that, like, what if she was a tougher audience? It seemed like an inherently fun scene to watch. It also is terrifying because it's putting a lot of dramatic weight on the shoulders of somebody who needs to be very young. And we're very lucky to have found Bella because she is doing such a great job of just talking smack to these guys who are used to being the heroes who make proclamations.
What you have to understand, my lady, is that...
I understand that I'm responsible for Bear Island and all who live here. So why should I sacrifice one more Mormont life for someone else's war?
I'll never hurt you, little brother. Don't you know that?
Yara does love Theon, and one could argue that she's the only one who's ever really loved him. Yara's always been there for him. She's the only person who tried to rescue him when he was Ramsay's prisoner.
I know you've had some bad years.
Some bad years?
But I'm tired of watching you cower like a beat dog. Drink the goddamn ale.
It's a very tough love, though. Yara's not a therapist in our kind of sense of the word. She's not there to, tell him to buck up and everything's going to be okay.
If you're so broken that there's no coming back, take a knife and cut your wrists. End it.
It's a pretty brutal kind of therapy, but that's who they are. I mean, they're essentially a Viking people. There's not a lot of room for sort of soft and gentle psychology. I think it's the kind of tough love that Theon needed at this point. And when he finally raises his eyes and looks into her eyes, we see a glimpse of the old Theon that had been lost for so long.